Folks, we conclude today chapter 10. Chapter 10 in one word is tzaddik, the righteous. So we explained, or the Alter Rebbe explained, that there are two levels of the righteous: an incomplete righteous person and a complete righteous person. What we understand till now that is, the more a person truly loves God, the more they're going to hate anything that is the antithesis of God. So both the incomplete and complete righteous, when it comes to their behavior, is impeccable. No question of thought, speech, and action. The question is, what's down deep inside? Are there any urges in the heart for, being a pleasure, seeking pleasure in life, which is a self-directed thing. Pleasure, in other words, of things that are not God-directed. And so the incomplete tzaddik has not transformed the inner being entirely, the animal soul, that it only is seeking God. And therefore there's some vestige, again, not in behavior at all, just deep down in the, you could say in the subconscious, you could say it in the deeper parts of the heart that are not consciously brought to any thought, definitely not speech or action, but yet lingers there. And the Alter Rebbe says in today's class that there are many levels, many levels of these incomplete righteous individuals. And you can compare it to, in Jewish law, that if you have milk and meat that are mixed together, of course it's not kosher, but if you have 60 times more one than the other, so in certain instances it nullifies it and it's kosher. So similar idea over here. If you have 60 parts good versus one particle of negativity of one, so it's nullified. And we're talking again, not in behavior, but in the deeper recesses of the heart. So then it becomes nullified. Now, what if it's 1,000 to 1? So get the idea. There could be many levels of what it means, that there can be some vestige of an urge, of a lust, of some form of desire that is in the heart, that is not consciously brought to any thought, again, let alone any speech or action, by the incomplete tzaddik. So then what is the complete tzaddik? Someone that has transformed so entirely their animal soul. Oh, I'm sorry, before getting there. So quoting, I think it's from the Talmud, if I'm not mistaken. That there are, yes, from the Talmud, that the Talmud says there are 18,000 tzaddikim stand before God. I mean, in other words, their souls stand before 18,000, not 18,000 in any given time, 18,000 throughout all of human history. When you divide that into generations, it's not going to be a lot. It might be the 36 hidden righteous ones, perhaps, in a generation. Actually, be interesting to make the calculation in 5780, what that would mean. In any case, that's incomplete righteous individuals. Completely righteous, as Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar says, that I've seen superior men called Bnei Eliyah, men of ascent. They're but a few. In other words, that might be one in a generation, might be few in a generation, that they're individuals of ascent, meaning that they have transformed entirely, that there is no vestige of any form of negativity, of self-directed desire in one's heart that doesn't come to any expression, of course. So we're talking about, on that level, completely transformed. This is a whole different idea when we speak about a righteous person. You speak about the righteous in that term in the world. It's probably not even talking about behavior, which we'll get into in chapter 12. In any case, such an individual, as Reb Chia wanted to ascend to the heavenly shrine of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and said, "Oh, who can come there? Only those who converted darkness into light and transformed the bitter taste of the animal soul in the evil inclination to sweetness of holiness. Only such people could enter into the shrine where Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was." So the term that is used is Bnei Aliyah, men of ascent, or men of ascent would be the literal translation of the. What does that mean, Bnei Aliyah? So the Alter Rebbe explains two explanations. Ascent, what they have done is they have ascended everything of their ascended their animal soul, any evil inclination, and it's totally ascended on high, and it's now part of holiness, only part of holiness, completely. That's one definition of what it means, Bnei Aliyah, in a sense. Second is that ascent, that everything is done for ascended purposes. In other words, for the sake of heaven. What does it mean for the sake of heaven? So Alter Rebbe explains. The prophet tells us that if you want God, study Torah, because through that you'll have a connection to God. Meaning, the fact that you want God, that is as itself, on a very refined level, a self-directed, self-fulfillment desire. Now, halavai, so be it that every one of us, that's all we want. That would be amazing for me and you. But for the complete tzaddik, way beyond that, because that is for one's own desire. You're parched with thirst for your desire to connect to God. Unbelievable. So the incomplete tzaddik will have a desire for God in such a manner. We may from time to time also have that, but the complete tzaddik, that's not yet where they're at. They're way beyond that. Bnei Aliyah, meaning that it's all about the ascent. It's all about doing it just for God. As the term is, who is the chassid? Who is this individual who is just doing it as a kindness for the Creator, for God? In other words, doing it for the sake of God entirely, in order that there should be the divine presence of God in the world. So what is the motivation? Not even the desire to cleave to God. Beyond that, but a desire just to reveal God, to do for God, for His sake, that He should that He should be revealed in this world. That's a very lofty level to be purely motivated by that, or essentially to be motivated by that at least, is the complete tzaddik. Again, halavai, so be it that we should be motivated because we want a relationship with God, we want to connect to God, and because our soul is thirsting for that connection. That's an amazing mindset, that's an amazing desire for us to have. But again, the complete righteous, that there are very few who their motivation primarily is just to do it for heaven's sake, for God's sake, meaning to do it because this will provide for God what He needs from us, and that we should be motivated by bringing a unity of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, into the lowest realm, meaning into this world, and therefore to do that mitzvah just to bring that revelation of godliness in this world. And then in parentheses, the end of the chapter, short class, the Alter Rebbe says that in Kabbalistic literature, there's the idea of an ascend upwards, and then that creates a union above and brings a new light downwards. So those two ideas can be brought together, that the complete righteous is ascending upwards. In other words, their animal soul is completely in an ascent, right? animal, right? And everything in this world is drawn by the force of gravity downwards. This individual is totally elevated, everything. And through that elevation brings now something new into this world. And that is the other idea of B'nai Aliyah, that it is about the union that you create to bring the revelation of God into this world. And that's the other idea of B'nai Aliyah, being motivated not for one's own connection, but to bring God connected into this world. Now we can have that. Let's be clear. We can be aware of this, and we can have even the mindfulness of this. But we're talking about that the complete righteous individual is not merely being mindful of this. That's where they're at. That's where they're totally in mind and heart, totally there. That's all that exists. That's what's real to them, is the presence of God, that they can, and God's unity in this world, that's what's the only reality. In other words, we've just explained this. The Alter has explained it, right? And we're learning it. So we could be mindful of this idea, but that doesn't mean we're in our heart of hearts, that's where we are. We're not in our heart of hearts, because then that would be a complete righteous person. In our heart of hearts, we've got a lot of other things in there, a lot of things that are not healthy and that are not directed to divine service, because that's the human condition, and that's the who we are, and actually what we are trying to be, to become the Beinoni. But here the Alter Rebbe, in order that we can become the Beinoni, which will be in chapter 12, we'll start learning more about the Beinoni. In order that we can become that individual, we need to understand what the Beinoni isn't. The Beinoni is not our righteous person, even though we will question that in chapter 12 after we explain about the Beinoni, but sort of have some of the answers already, because of this is what truly is righteous. Now, I think I mentioned this when we speak of the righteous here. This is only a definition of the righteous, as it's vis-a-vis in relationship to the Beinoni, and things that we can appreciate and understand on to some degree at least. But the righteous, the way they are unto them, the Alter Rebbe wrote a book called Sefer Shel Tzadikim, the Book of the Righteous, but it got burnt, so we don't know what that is. But this is only in relationship to the Beinoni, what it means righteous. The righteous are much greater than even what we're describing over here. The complete righteous, again, imagine an individual that their behavior is impeccable, and that's not what a righteous person is, because we can see that in a person, but their inside is purely clean. Their heart of hearts, there isn't a one to 1,000 in their heart of hearts of anything that is not connected to God, that is not pure and godly, and therefore sweet and good and full of light. That's an unreal thing that it's even hard to imagine, because we're quite distant from that. That's it, folks. More to come. In tomorrow's class, Jason, good to see you, and to have you join us today from Montreal. Cecilia, good morning. Nathan, Boker Tov, and Joseph, Boker Tov. From Petach Tikva in Israel. Erica from Norway. And Ahmed, Shalom from, thank you for joining. Jane Boker Tov from Illinois. Adam from Charleston, South Carolina, good morning. Susanna from Miami, shalom. David from the Minion, and Bacha also. Irene, thank you. Tony from Costa Rica, good morning. And Sandy is with us, good morning. Joshua from Williamsburg, good morning. And Ernie from Mississippi, welcome. Doug from Arizona, shalom. Carla, thank you for joining. Marla from New York, shalom. Carrie from Montreal, good morning. Thank you for joining. Wim from the Philippines, if I recall correctly. And John, good morning. Miriam from France, good morning. Virginia from Florida. Joanne from Nevada. Savannah, good morning. Who else? Rachel. Yes, when Mashiach comes, we'll all be righteous. So imagine how an amazing, because we will perceive God in everything, and therefore there will be no negativity that will be in our heart of hearts. And that there'll also be levels, but those who study Tanya, boy, they're lucky. Because Mashiach comes, truly will be righteous, absolutely. Marilyn, thank you for joining. From Amsterdam, Chaya Sarah. And this is all on Instagram. Flavio, good morning. Who else is with us? Rabbi Tully, thank you for joining. It's hard to make out the names on Instagram. Besides L'chaim. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and pleasure to share with you. Tanya, have a wonderful day.